Hi, it's Ellen Dudley with Keller Williams Realty. I'm here for another episode of Real Estate Connections. Today I am speaking with Kat Blake. Kat is a certified divorce coach who comes to this role with over 25 years as a child and family therapist. And how are you today, Kat?
I'm doing well. It's nice and sunny here in New England today, so it's beautiful. Thanks for
Yes.
having me on, Ellen.
Oh, of course. Thanks for being here. You and I know each other from our affiliation with the National Association of Divorce Professionals,
Yep.
and otherwise known as the NADP.
Mhm.
And we both service the divorce industry, although in different areas. You're more north of Boston and more virtual, and I'm more, downtown and Metro West. And obviously, we have the ability to refer clients to each other sometimes or to anyone else in our network, which is a nice connection we have. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that we can talk today. We
Yeah,
don't we don't know each other very well. We see each other on virtual calls all the time, but I'm glad we can get to know each other a little better here.
absolutely. And as a divorce professional, as you know, the house is one of the most prized possessions often, or one of the most fought after assets in divorce. So people have a lot of emotions going into decisions around whether they should sell the house or move or rent or and all that. So you help our clients with that, knowing about the divorce process. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll talk about that toward
Yeah,
the end.
yeah.
Why don't you first tell my viewers what is a certified divorce coach?
So there's not that many of us out there. There's about 250 across the country, the world, and it's a program that is based out of Florida to get the certification. And really, I would say the difference between a certified divorce coach and a coach, a life coach who specializes in divorce, is that we know more about the legal process and we are really trained on how to work collaboratively with other professionals. We know about boundaries. We know about when is it time to send our clients to a real estate professional, to a mortgage broker, to an attorney and a mediator. So we're really helping people make decisions around the nuts and bolts details of their divorce. Also, I come from it from a therapy background. So all certified divorce coaches have a particular specialty. I specialize in helping men and women, but it's mostly women, escaping from emotionally abusive situations. And there comes a whole host of emotions with that, and grief and trauma. And so I'm helping people process the emotions in a way that helps them move forward into their recovery, so that they're actually coming out of the other divorce, the other end of divorce, not feeling broken, but feeling like they have a better life. They have a life that's in their control. They are parenting the way they want to. And it sets them up to be able to co-parent without stress.
That's great. That's so important because there's so much anger
Oh, yeah.
and there's so much negativity as you're going through divorce. So
Mhm.
you sort of help them get past the anger and see the
Yeah.
light.
Well, even in the most rational people, I always call it like divorce fog. There's a lot of decisions that you have to make. Everything gets thrown up in the air, and people are feeling really afraid and vulnerable. They go into the process with a lot of stereotype thinking around what divorce is, and they're scared. And so even the most high functioning adult often ends up behaving, I call it from their lizard brain, which is the primitive brain where it's fear and flight, it's reactivity. And I really encourage things like meditation, journaling, communication strategies, boundary setting, so that they can get into their logical brain and make some really good decisions for themselves in their divorce.
Great. So how did you transfer this career path of yours? How did you go from a child and family therapist to wanting to specialize in this area?
um, because I'm crazy. No, like, so I will tell you, as a trained therapist and somebody who was trained in psychoanalysis in New York City, so I had postgraduate training, we didn't learn a whole heck of a lot about divorce, other than divorce was a risk factor for children, right? They're more likely to be depressed or anxious, etc., with divorce. So, and what I found when I had my private practice first in New York and here is all these kids were coming in. Anxiety was the presenting symptom. And then when you dig a little bit deeper, there's divorce, there's marital conflict that's happening in the home. And I did my best to steer people, but I realized I didn't know. I didn't know how to help them make a decision on whether they should mediate or litigate. I didn't know what the best practices were for co-parenting, what the best visitation plan looks like for a 5-year-old. And so I realized that my knowledge was really lacking. And I think around that same time, I went through my own high conflict divorce about 10 years ago. And I realized that even a trained professional, I had no idea what I was doing. And the not knowing is what ended up costing me tons of money in my divorce process. I was reactive. I was afraid. Many of us in the legal world know that a lot of litigated cases, there's a lot of character assassination that goes back and forth. And none of it really makes a difference to the legal process of the divorce. But I got, swept up in that and defending myself and answering emails. And all of it just cost me tens of thousands of dollars needlessly. And it certainly did not set the stage for a good co-parenting, routine, to say the least. Now, I've come so far since then. My ex and I get along well now, but we communicate like it's a business, and I've learned some strategies to decrease the conflict, but it took me years to do that. And that's when I was like, I want people to learn what I've learned so that they're not struggling and stumbling for years and years like I did. Because honestly, when you're in that state, not only are you losing money, but you're losing your mental health. I ended up getting physically ill, being angry at my ex. And I realized the only person I was hurting was myself. So my big thing when I work with my clients is I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. But it's moving from victim mentality to power mentality. And that's a big switch. And that's a conscious decision that people have to make.
Right. So I know that you have so many offerings. Tell people, because I see you all over the internet. So tell people how you work, what kinds of clients you work with. I know everything's virtual now, but you have support groups, you have coaching, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I have different packages. So some people do I call it my more high-end package. It's one-on-one coaching. We meet once a week for at least an hour. And then those people are also part of my online support group. And they're coming to all of our virtual, and they used to be in real life, events that we host in the community. And those are people who are dealing with really high conflict divorce. And in between sessions, I'm sending them worksheets. I'm sending them videos. They're sending me texts. How do I respond to my soon-to-be ex? How do I respond to this text? Here's information. Do I need to tell my attorney this information? So it's really kind of, in real life support when you need it, around as much as I can be around the clock, right? I do sleep. And then other people are involved, and we have a once a week online support group. That's for women. We have that Sunday night because we have women in there from California. We have someone from Canada, someone from Florida, and 8 p.m. on Sunday seems to be the time that most of us all can meet. So we do that. I also have an online class. It's a divorce boot camp, and that's $197. So that's also a way for people to get some support, because what that does is it just teaches you through interviews. It's 8 classes, how to deal with the nuts and bolts of the decisions that you have to make through your divorce. So a lot of people, I realized when they were coming into coaching, they were like, what's a 4-way meeting? How do I prepare? How is child support figured out? What is the divorce process? What is it about? Because they're feeling like they're in the dark. So this gives you really kind of all of that information to guide you from beginning to end of your divorce.
So if somebody, let's just say one spouse tells the other spouse, I want a divorce, they can call you and they can get where they should start this process, what they need to know from the beginning. What does this mean before they start calling random lawyers?
Right. And also, a lot of it too is they'll tell me their situation, and we make an assessment as to what the best way is to get through a divorce. I don't know if most people still walk around thinking that the only way to get divorced is I file paperwork, they're going to serve my ex, and we're going to be battling in court in front of a jury of peers. Like, that's what most people actually think divorce is. And so I educate my clients on there's other alternatives. There's parts of the divorce you can do yourself. There's, mediation, there's collaborative, you can have 2 attorneys work collaboratively together. There's, teams of that helped some people. You know what I mean? So it's educating them to what their rights are. And then I do try to hook them up with a legal professional in the community. I'll give them 2 or 3 names that I think best matches their personality and their needs. So for example, if you're going into a low conflict divorce, I never encourage someone to hire a shark attorney, because why would you do that? The shark attorney is thinking of litigation right from the start, right from the get-go. They're thinking of trial, and they might stir the pot because they're from step 1 looking at how do I win this trial. But if you have a low conflict divorce, why would you not work with the mediator? It's going to save both you and your partner money. So.
Right. So even though coaching costs some money, you can really save people a lot of money in the long end.
Oh, yeah, a lot of money. And it costs, I mean, my fees are, I always say a month of my services is equivalent to probably 2 hours of attorney fees, you know?
Right. And you can save them 2 hours of attorney fees and improve their mental health.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's a win-win.
And I also do a lot of work with people post-divorce. So I've actually with COVID, I've been doing a lot more of this work, but co-parents who are in disagreement post-divorce, instead of ending up with a contempt, waiting to get in front of a judge, which is a long wait now with COVID, attorneys have been referring people to me, and I've just been helping them within 2 or 3 sessions come up with an agreement that they can both deal with. So.
Yeah. So do you work with both men and women?
I work with both men and women, yeah.
But your support groups are just for women?
Just for women, yeah. I would say most of my clients are women.
Mm-hmm. And getting back to the real estate piece for a second, yes. You know, I think that a lot of people want to hold on to the real estate because they want to win, even though it may not be the best solution. Have you encountered that?
Oh, a lot. I think, you know, by the way, I did that. You know, I think, you know, and it's hard, you know, I get it that people don't want to uproot their children, and that is for some people pretty a drastic change. And sometimes there is a matter of timing. Like, you know, sometimes, as you know, in divorce agreements, it might be like, let's let, you know, one partner stay in the home until the kids start high school, because that's a more natural place to transition the kids to a different system. But yeah, I mean, I will say that's probably one of the most common mistakes. I think a lot of, and I'm not saying this to be sexist, but I think a lot of women do fight to keep the house, and which involves buying out their partner. And then 2 years down the road, you know, we live in New England, these are old homes. The roof has to be fixed, the oil tank goes, all of that, and they end up realizing, like, I can't hold on to the house. Well, now you're selling the house, and on top of it, you're paying all the taxes and you're paying all the real estate fees yourself, and next thing you know, you're underwater. And right. So that's part of coaching too, because you want to take the emotion out of it and think logically, is this really a good step for you? I have a client right now, and she's battling over the house, and you know, we have a certified divorce financial analyst on the case too, and we had to sit with her and say, hey, listen, and this is hard, but we said, you can keep the house, but we don't see you being able to survive in this house. You're going to have nothing. You know, is that how you want to live? And if that's the decision she makes, then that's fine. But we want to make sure she knows what she's signing off on before.
Right, right. And that's what I do as well, is try to let them see down the road what the deferred maintenance is, what the taxes are going to be. And yeah, so good. We're on the same team. And it's not that we want people to uproot their lives. We just want what's best for them. And sometimes they don't see it. Sometimes it takes an outside person to explain to them.
Right. You know. And honestly, like, you know, people are worried about their kids. I'm like, your kids are going to be happier. Even if you're renting an apartment, they take their cues from you. They're going to be happier with an emotionally present mom who's not working around the clock trying to keep them in a home who's stressed out. Like, do you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Like, they're going to remember mom relaxed on Friday having dinner with them, but they're also going to remember mom stressed out, yelling, screaming about that. Like, which mom do you want to be, you know, for your kids?
Right.
I think, you know, the houses are great, and there's, you know, but they're not you know, there's more important things too.
Right. They are a lot of work.
They are a lot of work.
So before we wrap up, why don't you just tell people how they can find you and what some of your websites or social media channels are where they can follow you? And
so the funny thing is, most people find me through my personal Facebook page, and it's Catherine Blake. It's CATHARINE Blake. And then my website is www.katblakecdc.com. So it's katblakecertifieddivorcecoach.com.
And you have quite a community. You have a really nice community. I followed you a little bit, and so
We
they
I
find you through your Facebook page, but then they find your community through that.
Yeah, and there is a private support group that we have on Facebook, a private group, and those are for people that have gone through parts of the coaching program, and that's called Diva Your Divorce. And we have about 250 members in there, and those women all stay in touch. Like a lot of them, I mean, a lot of women when you're going through divorce, you really have to redefine your peer group, right? Sometimes you're not hanging out with the married people anymore. And so that's where the community comes in, because not only do people realize they're not alone, but there's other people that they can ask questions of. There's mentors out there, so some of my women have gone through my program and they're remarried, or they're acing dating, or they got back on their feet financially, and they're really helping to pull up the women who are really like in the throes of it. The woman who like her husband left her the week prior and feels like there's no end in sight. And one of my clients can come in and say, no, I'm here for you. Please reach out to me. There is an end in sight. We're gonna help you get through. You're not alone. And I think that's to me, our groups and our events are the most powerful part of the program. I mean, I give people information, but it's the community that really, provides
That's
the
awesome.
the power,
Absolutely. That's great. Well, I encourage anyone who is going through a divorce or in the middle of a divorce or post-divorce, even if they're still not quite on a positive track, to reach out to you, because I know that your community can help them. So
Absolutely. And remember, I always tell people it's not time that makes everything heal. It's a conscious choice to say, I'm worth feeling good. I'm worth not being angry at my ex. I'm worth more than this. And that's what we really help people figure out. So thank you so much.
That's awesome. That's a great ending. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll talk with you again soon.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.